सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। This is the week of Guru Purnima, isn't it? Guru Purnima is coming in this week on Thursday, I think, Wednesday, 13th. We have Guru Purnima. So, Guru Purnima wishes to one and all. May the grace and blessings of Sri Guru be ever on us. By his grace, we are studying this wonderful text called Vivekachoodamani, masterpiece of Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankaracharya, and also the commentary by Swami Chinmayananji Pujya Gurudev, whose also this is one of the masterpieces, right? So, we are lucky to study this by their grace. Now, let us go into the text. So far, we have seen so many topics. Right now, we are into the topic of understanding how the self is different from the Panchakosha, from the 5 sheaths. So, in that, we have seen Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha. 2 koshas, 2 sheaths we have seen. Annamaya Kosha is this physical body, which is made up of food, which is sustained by food, which goes back to become food. Therefore, it is called as modification of food, the food sheath. We have seen Annamaya Kosha elaborately, what constitutes Annamaya Kosha and how this Annamaya Kosha cannot be me. That also through lots of reasons Bhagavan Shankaracharya had proven that I cannot be this food sheath. Now, in 2 verses, actually, he concluded the concept of Pranamaya Kosha. Now, when it came to Annamaya Kosha, we had seen so many points. For example, Shankaracharya had given reasons that the body is not there before birth and after death. Therefore, it cannot be me. It is continuously changing. Kshana gunaha, it is having fleeting qualities. It is not one, it is diversified, it has got various facets. It in itself has got many limbs. And most important of all the reasons is it is inert. It can be seen like a pot. And therefore, this body, this Annamaya Kosha cannot be me. And after explaining all that, he made a a loving advice, gave a loving advice to all of us. Therefore, he said, Atra atma buddhim tyaja, mooda buddhe, oh foolish person, give up this notion of I in this body. And then what? Sarvatmani brahmani nirvikalpe shantim, kurushva, no, not shantim, kurushva. That atma buddhi, you do it in that supreme Brahman. And then what? Paramam shantim bhajasva. Then attain that supreme bliss. He also said, as long as one does not understand that I am not the body and does not de-identify or disidentify with the body, the person cannot get liberation. Even if the person is well learned, a scholar, but unless this step is done, vimuktihi vartapina tasyasti. That's what Bhagavan Shankaracharya said. There is not even a talk of liberation for a person who has not actually done it. So this proves one very important point, that this spiritual science is meant for practice. You may understand, but unless that understanding converts into action, that is of no use. Mere understanding is of no use. So I have studied Vivekachoodamani, but I have not followed even one verse of Vivekachoodamani. Then it is of no use. It is just like you have studied mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, etc. So Shankaracharya is saying that now that you have understood, now start practicing. How should I practice? He said, just as you don't have feeling of I in the shadow of the body, in the reflection of the body, in the dream body, in the body which is imagined in the mind, you don't have feeling of I in all these things. In the same way, don't have feeling of I even in this gross body. It is exactly like that. It's exactly like a shadow. Is there for some time, will not be there afterwards. Don't have this feeling of I in this gross body. So now this is given for our sadhana. Okay. So next time there is some kind of pain in the body, remind yourself, I am not the body. A pain will be there. Let it be there. You say, I am not the body. Pain will reduce. Why? Because you are suddenly looking at the body as an instrument distinct from you. It is still connected to me, therefore I will have pain, but not as much if I consider it to be me. So every single time something like this happens, you remind, this body is not me, I am not the body. It is just like a shadow. When the truck goes over the shadow, do I feel sad? Do I feel any pain? No. Then the same way I should not feel it for my body also. Very interesting. Look at yourself and your body like this, right? Then he said that when somebody starts to disengage oneself from the body, which is actually this identification with the body is the cause for our samsara. Once we start to de-identify, disidentify, then what happens? Tyakte chitte na punarbhavasha. When this is given up, this identification is given up in the mind, na punarbhavasha. There is no rebirth. When I have given up notion of myself in this body here, I will not get any further embodiment also. Chances of me getting future body is also gone. Why? Because this body itself I am not considering to be me, then what? Another body? Not required. Right? So in this way, Shankaracharya had explained about the Annamaya Kosha. Then in Pranamaya, about Pranamaya Kosha, he explained in 2 verses. First he explained what is Pranamaya Kosha. So Pranamaya Kosha has 2 aspects. One is 5 organs of action, karmendriya, and another 5 pranas, 5 physiological functions. So in the last session, we had seen what are the 5 physiological functions: prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. right? Respiration, excretion, circulation, reverse reaction, and digestion, assimilation. So these are the 5 physiological functions. They are individually called as prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, and together also they are called as prana, right? So these pranas, these pancha prana, these 5 physiological functions, along with the 5 organs of action, together are called pranamaya kosha. It is the energy component or action component of our personality. See, physical body is actually just inert instrument. The real action happens from physical body because of this pranamaya kosha. And that's why hunger, thirst, lack of sleep, when all these things are there, body is not able to function properly. It is not body is not able to function properly. It is the pranas which are not able to function through the body. See, body actually doesn't know getting tired. We sometimes say, no, after we walk for some time, my legs are paining. Think about it, okay? Can legs pain? Think about it. And when I say legs are paining, which part? What exactly is happening? Think about it. See, the body by itself doesn't know all these things. Do you say that while driving the car that the tire is paining? Let me stop for some time. Why? The tire is paining. No, the tire doesn't feel any pain. Tire goes on as long as you want. As long as pranas are functioning, the body will continue with it. This getting tired, feeling thirsty, hungry is all the function of the pranas. Even for that matter, walking is the function of karmendriya. Talking is a function of karmendriya. When I hold something and when I am carrying something, it's a function of karmendriya. Isn't it? So, even the genital and the excretion organ, what are they doing the function? Through pranas only, through karmendriya only. So, body is actually not an action component. Action component is this pranamaya kosha. Sometimes I feel that I am this, but no, I am not this also. Why? Reasons are also given here. Na eva atma api pranamayaha. Why? Vayu vikaraha. It is modification of wind. That's it. It is nothing but just modification of wind. The outer wind, when it comes inside, it is called pranas. That's it. Ganta aganta. Vayuvad antarbhiresha. It goes and comes. The vayu goes outside, exhalation. Comes inside, inhalation. The self doesn't go outside and come inside. I cannot go out and come. I have to be there all the time. Yasmat kinchit kva apina vetti ishtam anishtam swam va anyam va. Another reason why this pranamaya kosha is not me is because it does not understand anything. It is action component, it is not knowledge component. It doesn't know anything. What do you mean it doesn't know anything? It doesn't understand ishta, anishta. Ishta, anishta, good, bad, favorable, unfavorable. It doesn't know. Swamva, anyamva, it doesn't know itself, it doesn't know anything else. It just carries out its function. It is not me. Nityam paratantraha. Now comes the last point, that it is always dependent upon something else. Therefore, it is not me. This we had seen in elaboration, right? Earlier also this topic had come. It is dependent on something else means what? As long as the self and the reflection of self is there, reflection of consciousness is there, the pranas are able to function. The moment this power giving capacity is not there, pranas cannot function. So the capacity that the pranas and the karmendriyas have is coming from somewhere else. Are you understanding? Let us put it like this. In a machine, let us say, oh, which machine? Motor. Have you seen motor? Motor. motor that rotates. For various reasons that motor is used. Sometimes it is used to lift, to get that lower water body into higher. We have motor in our house also, isn't it? Now there is a physical structure to that motor. There is internal structure also which has many things because of which the wings etc. move. Have you seen? Now this motor will function only when there is electricity. So the outer body that we see is like the physical body, is like Annamaya Kosha. Then there is an action component behind the wheel because of which the wheel and the wings etc. are rotating. Something is there happening behind it. That electricity is getting converted into kinetic energy because of some tool, because of which it is moving. Now that is Pranamaya Kosha. But both of them are paratantra. Paratantra, dependent on something else. Means what? If electricity is not there, it will not function. When that electricity is there and when that electricity is connected to this motor, then the motor will function. In the same way, the outer physical body, Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha is the action component of the body. All of them will function when there is self and reflection of self. So they are paratantra. Correct. Now that on which they are dependent, that is me. Pranamaya Kosha, for its functionality, is dependent on whom? On the self. That self is me. Are you getting? That is the topic. That is the point that Shankaracharya says here. Now, let us go forward. Now what? Annamaya Kosha over Pranamaya Kosha. Now Manomaya Kosha. Verses 167 to 183. This Manomaya Kosha is explained. Let us read verse number 167. Jñānendriyāṇi ca manaśca manomayāḥ syāt.
Jñānendriyāṇi ca manaśca manomayāḥ syāt.
Kośo mamāhamiti vastuvikalpahetuḥ.
Kośo mamāhamiti vastuvikalpahetuḥ.
saṃjñādibhedakalanākalito balīyāṃs.
saṃjñādibhedakalanākalito balīyāṃs.
tatpūrvakośamabhipūrya vijṛmbhate.
tatpūrvakośamabhipūrya vijṛmbhate.
jñānendriyāṇi ca manaśca manomayāḥ syāt. kośo mamāhamiti vastuvikalpahetuḥ. saṃjñādibhedakalanākalito balīyāṃs. tatpūrvakośamabhipūrya vijṛmbhate. Jñānendriyāṇi. Jnana indriyani, the organs of knowledge. Earlier in Pranamaya Kosha it was what? Karmendriyani, the organs of action. Now what? Jnanendriyani, the organs of knowledge, the organs of perception. Cha and manascha and mind. manomayāgnirdahati kośah syāt is called mental sheath. So Pranamaya Kosha was Karmendriyani 5 plus Pranas 5. So 5 Karmendriyani, 5 organs of action plus 5 Pranas. Together was called as Pranamaya Kosha. Now what is Manomaya Kosha? 5 organs of perception plus mind. 5 organs of perception: Shrotram, Tvak, Chakshuhu, Rasana, Granam. Ears, skin, eyes, tongue and nose. So again, don't forget whatever we have studied in the past, okay? These we are not talking about ears, eyes, etc. that we see. We are talking about indriya. Indriya means the power to hear, power to touch, power to see, etc. We are not talking about these golakas, apertures, right? So these 5 organs of perception which collect the knowledge from the outside world, and the mind. Mind is part of what? Mind is part of antarindriya. Correct? Antakarana. So antakarana, if you say 4, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, then we are here talking about mana and chitta. Okay? That is the other component of manomaya kosha. So manomaya kosha has 5 organs of perception and mind. That is called as manomaya kosha. 5 organs of perception and mind. That is called manomaya kosha. Now what does he say? Mama aham iti vastuvikalpahetuḥ. It is hetu, it is the cause. This manomaya kosha is the cause, vastuvikalpa, for the differences in vastu, in the objects. This manomaya kosha causes the difference. What kind of difference? Mama aham iti. Mine and me. My and me means what? I and mine. So I am different, objects are different. This object is different from that object. All these distinctions are caused by mind. Not by the body, not by the pranas, but by the mind. Why do I see so many different people sitting there? Because my mind is seeing different people sitting there. It is the mind that creates differences. Why? That is its function. Saṃjñādibhedakalanākalito. It is the creator of various kinds of differences. Like what? Saṃjñādi, like the name. Different names are there. What? This is called as watch. This is called as table. This is called as iPad. This is called as light. Then there is TV. What is all these things? These differences are created by mind. Carefully, if we notice, even the identification with the body, with the pranas, is because of the mind, is in the mind. And therefore Shankaracharya had said at that time, if you give up that identification of body in the mind, you will not get any future embodiment. Tyakte tu chitte. In the mind you have to give up. Why? Because it exists only in the mind. Right? And Shankaracharya says, don't take this manomaya kosha lightly. Why? Balīyāṃs. It is very strong. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Pramathi balavadridham. Tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Arjuna says to Sri Krishna, after Bhagavan Sri Krishna is explaining, how meditation is to be done, what are the process, what is the process, etc. Arjuna says, 1 second, Bhagavan, one big problem. What? You are explaining and everything is so beautiful and the mind will get dissolved in that Brahman and then nothing will remain. It is so beautiful to hear, but what? I don't think I can control my mind. Why? Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Because the mind is extremely fickle. It continuously vibrates, it continuously changes. Pramathi, balavadridham. It is very strong. And it is very unyielding. You cannot control it. Tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. It is like controlling the cyclone. You cannot. You build walls, you build compound, you build house. In that cyclone, everything will go. Whatever you have built to control the cyclone will be destroyed in that same cyclone. His mind is like that. Shankaracharya says, agreed. Bhagavan also, Shri Krishna says there, agreed Arjuna. Agreed. That durnigraham chalam. Mind is difficult to control and mind is fickle. I agree. But there is a way. Abhyasena vairagyena cha. That's what Bhagavan says in 6th chapter. But here the topic is what? Manomaya kosha. It is the mind which creates all the differences. This mind along with the 5 sense organs, 5 organs of perception is what is called as manomaya kosha. It is strong. And what? Yaha, that which vijṛmbhate, it manifests. This mind manifests. How? tatpūrvakośamabhipūrya. Abhipūrya, pervading. It manifests by pervading its previous sheath. This point we have seen earlier also. For pranamaya kosha also it was said that this pranamaya kosha pervades the annamaya kosha. Now manomaya kosha has to pervade pranamaya kosha also. This is something that we have seen earlier. Each of the latter one is subtler than the former. Each latter pervades former. Each latter controls and governs the former. So manomaya kosha, the third kosha, pervades pranamaya kosha, second kosha. So manomaya kosha is mind plus 5 organs of perception. It is very strong and it is the one which creates all the differences in the world. And it pervades what? It pervades the pranamaya kosha. And of course pranamaya kosha pervades annamaya kosha, so it pervades both. Right? That is what is this manomaya kosha. Now, very beautiful analogy is given to understand how manomaya kosha functions. So, there are these jñānendriyās and there is mind. So, what is exactly happening? That is explained in the next verse, verse number 168. Let us see. pañcendriyaiḥ pañcabhireva hotṛbhiḥ pracīyamāno viṣayājyadhārayā jājvalyamāno bahuvāsanendhanaiḥ manomayāgnirdahati prapañcam pañcendriyaiḥ pañcabhireva hotṛbhiḥ pracīyamāno viṣayājyadhārayā jājvalyamāno bahuvāsanendhanaiḥ manomayāgnirdahati prapañcam. Prapañcam vahati. Last 2 words. Prapañcam vahati. It maintains the world. Samsara. Samsara is maintained by whom? manomayāgnihi. The fire of mind, the fire of mental sheath. So now fire is compared with mind. Now, what is this fire? This is the fire of yajna. So in the fire of yajna, what is happening? There are purohits, priests, hotas. They are called as hotṛ. Those hotras are offering ghee into that fire, correct? And different kinds of firewood, etc. is also offered in the fire. Now that is what is compared with different things. The fire is of mind. Now, who are the hotṛ? Who are the priests offering fuel, etc. in that fire? pañcendriyaiḥ pañcabhih hotṛbhiḥ. There are 5 priests. Who are they? pañcendriya, the 5 organs of perception. Okay. So, fire is mind. Who are the priests? The 5 organs of perception are the priests. What are they offering? Pracīyamāno. Pracīyamāno means being fed. By these hotras, by these priests, this fire is fed with what? Viṣayājyadhārayā. with the ajya dhara, with the stream of ghee. You offer ghee in the fire, isn't it? While doing yajna, yaga, etc. What is that ghee? Vishaya, sense objects. So the 5 organs of perception are offering 5 sense objects into the fire of mind. Continuously. See, right now at this very moment also what is happening? This yajna is happening. Your eyes are collecting the form and offering it into your mind. Your ears are collecting sound and offering into your mind. And the mind is the one who is receiving everything and making sense out of the whole thing. Think about it. And jājvalyamāno, and this mind is jājvalyamāno. Jājvalyamāno means it is set ablaze, it is radiant, it is glowing. Why? bahuvāsanendhanaiḥ. Because along with ghee, firewood also is offered. The fuel of what? Bahuvāsana, many desires. So this mind is continuously kept alive by 2 things. One, many desires or impressions, and second, by the outside objects. Think. I always used to think when I was a child that why this staying in jail is called as punishment. I said, so nice life. You see, you stay in one room, food comes to you, you can sleep whenever you want, there is no schedule. Nobody is going to ask you to get up early, take bath. Why it is called as punishment? See, for many reasons. Number one, it is called as punishment because you don't have freedom. In your home, suppose you decide that I am going to stay in my room. Fine, that is your decision. But suppose you decide that no, I want to go out. You can go out. In the jail, you cannot do that. You cannot say, "Bas bore ho gaya, abhi main thoda bahar ghum ke aata hu." You can't do that. But second reason also is, what will you do? The mind needs many things. Same room, same color, nobody different coming, nothing different. How long will you stare at it? Think. The mind is alive. Mind is functioning because of 2 reasons. Now, one is number of desires that is fueling the mind. And second is the sense objects which are offered by the sense organs. That is what is happening. This is manoMāyāḥ kośo. There is one mind which collects all the 5 inputs, isn't it? Jñānendriyās are input devices. They take the input from the world into the mind, and the mind is the one who is receiving all those inputs. That is what is explained in this extended metaphor, that mind is like that fire. The 5 organs of perception, the pañcendriyaiḥ sense organs, are like those priests. And they are offering what? They are offering sense objects into this mind. And then this mind is kept ablaze by what? By the indhana, by the fuel of many desires and impressions. Now, Shankaracharya makes one interesting and important point. What? See, the last 2 words said, prapañcam vahati. It is this mind which maintains, which sustains the world. What do we mean? Next verse, Shankaracharya says, what does he mean? Very important verse. Mark the verse if you have some kind of marking. 169. Very important verse. Let us read. Na hyastyavidyā manaso'tiriktā. Mano hyavidyā bhavabandhahetuḥ.
mano
तस्मिन् विनष्टे सकलं विनष्टं
तस्मिन् विनष्टे सकलं विनष्टं
विजृम्भितेऽस्मिन् सकलं विजृम्भते
विजृम्भितेऽस्मिन् सकलं विजृम्भते
नैह्यस्त्यविद्या मनसोऽतिरिक्ता मनो ह्यविद्या भवबन्धहेतुः तस्मिन् विनष्टे सकलं विनष्टं विजृम्भितेऽस्मिन् सकलं विजृम्भते. Beautiful verse. What does he say? Nahi asti avidya manasah atirikta. Nahi asti avidya, there is no ignorance, manasah atirikta, other than the mind. There is no ignorance other than the mind. See, when you say there is no ignorance other than the mind, immediately the next sentence has to be, therefore mind is ignorance. That's what he says. Manaha hi avidya. There is no ignorance other than the mind. Mind itself is ignorance. And also, bhavabandhahetuhu. It is the cause of bondage of samsara. Bhava, samsara. Bandha, bondage. Hetuhu, cause. Means what? So far we have understood that there is ajnana. Ajnana, ignorance of the self, because of which I don't know myself and therefore I misunderstand myself to be pañcakosha. Isn't it? Now Shankaracharya says that ignorance is actually mind. How? Mano hi avidya. Mind itself is ignorance. Why? Tasmin vinashte. When that mind is destroyed, sakalam vinashtam. Everything is destroyed. Vijṛmbhate asmin vijṛmbhate. When it manifests, when this mind manifests, sakalam vijṛmbhate. Everything else manifests. And therefore, entire samsara, which is because of avidya, that avidya is mind. Careful. Important verse. Nahi asti avidya manaso'tiriktā. Mano hi avidya bhavabandhahetu. There is no ignorance other than the mind. Mind alone is ignorance, which is the cause of bondage of samsara. Why? Because tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam. When that mind is destroyed, everything is destroyed. Vijṛmbhite'sminsakalaṃ sakalam vijṛmbhate. When that mind manifests, everything else manifests. Mind is ignorance. Mind is the cause of all our problems. Simple. We have been thinking that there is some kind of ignorance. We don't even know what is this ignorance. वो काला है कि गोरा है, नाटा है कि मोटा है, वो कुछ पता नहीं. We don't know what is this ignorance. We've been talking about ignorance. Now you know something which is the real cause and which you can control. What is that? That is the mind. Why? This mind is ignorance. Now, for Shankaracharya to make such a huge claim, there has to be a reason and there has to be Shruti Pramana for that. See, you cannot just make any claim, isn't it? It has to be in line with Shruti and Yukti. Now, Yukti is given here. Tasmin vinashte sakalam vinashtam vijṛmbhite'smin sakalam vijṛmbhate. This is called as Anvaya Vyatireka method. Have you heard about this Anvaya Vyatireka? To prove coexistence of two things, this kind of method is used. Careful. To prove coexistence of two things, Anvaya Vyatireka method is used. Means what? When A is there, B is there. When A is not there, B is not there. Therefore, A is the cause of B. When A is there, B is there. A is not there, B is not there. You understand this? In every place it will be used. Now what? Now the same technique is used. He has made a claim what? Mind is ignorance which is the cause of samsara. So mind and samsara are A and B. Now what he has to prove? He has to prove when mind is there, samsara is there, and when mind is not there, samsara is not there. That is what he does in the next two verses. First he takes the example of, he takes the experience of Jagrat and Swapna, waking and dream, and he says, you see, in the waking and in the dream, mind is there, and so is samsara. Then to do vyatireka, to show negation, he says, you see, in deep sleep, mind is not there, samsara is not there. Therefore, mind is the cause of samsara. Avidya is the cause of samsara. We know that. Now what is being proved? Mind is the cause of samsara. Which will mean what? Mind is avidya. Simple. Ignorance is mind. That is what he does. So, in next two verses, he is explaining this Anvaya and Vyatireka. Let us read one by one. Verse number 170. Svapne'rthaśūnye srijati svashaktya.
svapne'rthaśūnye srijati svashaktya.
Bhoktrādivishvam mana eva sarvam. Tathaiva jagratyapि no visheshah. Tatsarvametan manaso vijṛmbhanam. Svapne'rthaśūnye srijati svashaktya. Bhoktrādivishvam mana eva sarvam. Tathaiva jagratyapि no visheshah. Tatsarvametan manaso vijṛmbhanam. He says, Swapne, in the dream. Beautiful adjective, Arthaśūnye. Now, Arthaśūnya, there is a pun. Pun, P-U-N, pun. Pun means when the same word has two meanings. Isn't it? Arthantaranyasa also. In some Sanskrit it is called as Arthantaranyasa. When the word has got two meanings. What does it mean? See, Arthaśūnya. Simple meaning that we use in all our regional languages, etc. Colloquial discussion also. Arthaśūnye. Arthaśūnya means meaningless. Shunya artha, there is no meaning. So one meaning of Swapna is meaningless. It's some kind of imagination. Another meaning is Arthaśūnye, where there is no artha. Artha is what? Vishaya. Vishaya, the outside objects. The outside objects that I experience in the waking are not there in the dream. In the dream, I have dream objects. So, Arthaśūnye also mean where there are no external sense objects of the waking. So, in that dream, which is Arthaśūnya, which is meaningless or which has no external sense objects of the waking, in that dream, Manah eva, mind alone, sarvam srijati, creates everything. Mind alone creates everything in the dream. There are no objects. See, suppose in the waking, careful. Suppose in the waking, you want to create house. What do you need? You need lots of things. You need bricks, you need sand, you need water, cement, people, isn't it? So actually outside things are required, objects are required, putting them together, you are going to build a house. In the dream, to create a house, What is required? Nothing. Mind alone. Why? There are no sense objects. Outside objects are not there. So it is not that brick needs to be, hey, let me keep brick near me when I am sleeping. Why? I have to build a house in the dream. And this brick is of no use in that. Why? Because there are no objects that you can take it in the dream. Manah eva sarvam srijati. Mind alone creates everything. How? Svashaktya. By its own power. What do you mean everything? Bhoktru adi vishwam. The entire world of enjoyer, etc. There is enjoyer also which is created by the mind. Enjoy, the objects, etc. that he is enjoying. Everything is created by mind. In the dream, there is a dream samsara created by mind. The point is what? The point is, in the dream there is mind and there is samsara. Coexistence. Not only that, that samsara is created by mind. Why? Because there are no sense objects. Manah eva, mind alone, sarvam srijati svashaktya. By its own power it creates everything in the dream. Why only in the dream? Tathaiva jagrati api. Tatha eva, in the same way, jagrati, in the waking, api also. In the same way, even in waking, na u visheshaha, no visheshaha, there is no difference. What happened in the dream, same thing is there in the waking. Means what? Mind alone creates everything. Today is a very nice day. Who tells you? You think about it. When we say, today is nice day. What do you mean? The mind is in nice mood. Therefore, he thinks that the day is nice. Today is a very boring day. The class is also not finishing. I don't know what happened today. Why? Mind is in that mood. Otherwise what? There is one common good day for everybody or what? No. Why? Mind. Just as in the dream everything is made, projected, imagined by mind, in the waking also no difference. Everything is imagined by mind alone. There is no difference. Earlier also we had discussed this topic. Waking and dream are not different. We think that they are different, but actually they are one and the same. That's not the topic here. The topic here is what? In the dream there is mind and there is samsara created by mind. In the waking there is mind and there is samsara is created by mind. Tat sarvam, all that you experience in that waking and in the dream, manasaha vijṛmbhanam. Etat manasaha vijṛmbhanam is the manifestation, projection of this mind alone. So dream and waking are one and the same, and both states, both dream and waking, are nothing but projection of mind. That's it. So this is Anvaya. Mind is there and mind has projected samsara. Now Vyatireka. Vyatireka means what? You see in the deep sleep, mind is not there, there is no samsara. Think. When we used to play, in childhood, we used to make different teams and play some sports. Then we will start to connect our victory and defeat based on the people that are playing. You remember? We used to see, this fellow last time was in their team and they lost. Now that same fellow came to my team, we lost. Therefore, he is the cause of our defeat. You see, I was in your team last time, we won. Then I went into that team won. I am the cause of victory. From childhood we have been doing this Anvaya Vyatireka without understanding. Now that is what Shankaracharya is saying. You use it here now. What? In the waking and dream there is mind and there is samsara projected by mind. In the deep sleep there is no mind, there is no samsara. Therefore, what? Mind is the cause of samsara. Now that Vyatireka he is doing. 171. Let us read. Sushupti kale manasi praline.
सुषुप्ति काले मनसि प्रलीने
नैवास्ति किंचित सकल प्रसिद्धेः.
नैवास्ति किञ्चित् सकल प्रसिद्धेः
अतो मनः कल्पित एव पुंसः.
अतो मनः कल्पित एव पुंसः
संसार एतस्य न वस्तुतोऽस्ति.
संसार एतस्य न वस्तुतोऽस्ति
सुषुप्ति काले मनसि प्रलीने नैवास्ति किंचित् सकल प्रसिद्धेः. अतो मनः कल्पित एव पुंसः. संसार एतस्य न वस्तुतोऽस्ति. Beautiful verse. What is he saying? Sushupti kale, at the time of deep sleep. Manasi praline, when the mind is dissolved. Mind is dissolved in what? Mind is dissolved into karana sharira. Naiva sakala prasiddhehe kinchit asti. Sakala prasiddhehe, of this, by this experience of all, sakala, everybody, prasiddha, it is well known. What is well known? That in the deep sleep, when the mind is dissolved, naivasti kinchit, there is nothing. Your experience of waking, my experience of waking is different. Why? Because the objects that you are experiencing and objects that I am experiencing are different. Your dream, my dream are different because objects that you are imagining and objects that I am imagining are different. But your deep sleep and my deep sleep, the experience is same. Why? Because there are no objects. There is nothing. And we both are experiencing nothing, which is both, for both it is same. Sakala prasiddhe, that's why Shankaracharya says. It is common knowledge of all. It's well known. What? In the deep sleep, when the mind is dissolved, there is nothing. In the waking and in the dream, the mind is there and mind is projecting. In the deep sleep, when mind is dissolved, there is nothing. Therefore, what does it prove? Ataha, therefore, pumsaha, etasya pumsaha, for this person, manah kalpitaha eva samsaraha. Samsara, the realm of transmigration, this entire world, manah kalpitaha eva, is created by mind alone, is imagined, projected by mind alone. Manah kalpitaha eva samsaraha. What do you mean? Na vastutaha asti. Brilliant. What? Actually, in reality, vastutaha na asti. Samsara is not there. What do you mean samsara is not there? Mind is there, samsara is there. Mind is not there, samsara is not there. Therefore, there is no actual samsara. There is only mind. When that mind manifests, you experience samsara. When that mind is not there, you are not experiencing samsara. Now go back to that verse. Which verse? 2 verses before. What is that? Nahi asti avidyā manaso'tiriktā. Mano hi avidyā bhavabandhahetuḥ. There is no ignorance other than the mind. Mind alone is ignorance, which is the cause of samsara. When that mind is there, samsara is there. When that mind is not there, samsara is not there. What does it mean? What it means is there is no samsara in reality other than the mind. So don't worry about samsara. You have to just worry about one thing. What is that? My mind. That is it. You are getting the point now? Don't worry about samsara. How will the samsara go? Samsara is creating problems. That samsara is created by mind. You worry about that mind. Worry about that mind means what? Deal with that mind. Now the same concept Shankaracharya explains by using one example. What is the concept? Let us read. We will understand the concept. Verse number 172. Vayuna niyate megha punastenaiva niyate manasa kalpyate bandhah mokṣastenaiva kalpyate vayuna niyate megha punastenaiva niyate manasa kalpyate bandhah mokṣastenaiva kalpyate. This verse also you note down. What is said here? Vayuna aniyate megha. Therefore, there are two SS you can see. Can you see that in the verse? It's called as avagraha. Avagraha is to indicate a. There are two, means there is a. Vayuna aniyate megha. The cloud is brought by the wind. Punaha, then again. Tena eva niyate. It is taken away by it alone, by the wind alone. Means what? The wind brings the cloud and the wind takes away the cloud. What is this? Example that we had seen, it can be connected to that also. There is sun covered by the cloud. Who has brought the cloud? Wind has brought the cloud. Who will take away the cloud? Wind will take away the cloud. Then what will happen? Then the sun will shine by itself. In the same way, there is this self ever shining, ever liberated. It is this mind which creates bondage and which removes bondage. Manasa kalpyate bandhah. The bondage is created or imagined by the mind. Moksha tena eva kalpyate. Liberation is also imagined, created by that mind alone. See. Important points are going on. What is the point here? First, Shankaracharya says mind alone is ignorant. There is nothing ignorance other than mind. So ignorance means what? It is mind. Now that ignorance has created bondage of samsara, you said. Now I am saying that bondage is created by the mind and the liberation also will be created by mind. There is one very, very famous Upanishadic statement. I told you, to prove any point, he will need two things. Shruti pramana, the affirmation from the scripture, and yukti, logic. Logic he has already given to us. He has shown how the mind and samsara coexist. In the waking and dream, mind is there and it creates samsara. In the deep sleep, mind is dissolved and there is nothing. There is no samsara. Logic is there. Now Shruti pramana is also there. What? Very famous Shruti quotation from Amrita Bindu Upanishad. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. This I am sure everyone has heard. manah eva, mind alone, manushyanam, for the humans, karanam, cause, bandha mokshayoho, for both bondage and liberation. For both bondage and liberation, mind is the cause. Means what? Mind creates bondage, mind alone creates liberation. There is no bondage other than mind. Are you getting? It is the same bondage. Vayuna aniyate megha, the cloud is brought by the wind, taken away by the wind. Bondage is created by the mind, removed by the mind. In other words, since we have studied so many other concepts, avidya maya creates bondage, vidya maya creates liberation, means removes that bondage. Both are part of mind. Mind. Manah eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Both. So what does it mean? What it means is bondage is not really there. It is just imagined by mind. When we were understanding the concept of bandha, we had understood this concept. Do you remember? Do you remember the story of camel? The camel who was bound by the rope that never existed. Remember? The bondage is in the mind of the camel, imagined by that camel. No rope is actually binding that camel. In the same way, we feel that we are bound, we are caught up in this samsara. This feeling of bondage is created by the mind. The liberation also will be created by mind. So, bandha is imagined, so is liberation. The one who gets liberated does not feel that now I am liberated. The experience of the liberated person is, I was ever liberated, I am ever liberated. It was not that, oh, I was bound and then, no, bondage was imagined by mind. So is the freedom, liberation imagined by my mind. So mind is what? Mind is your best friend. And mind is your worst enemy. Atmaiva hi atmanah bandhuhu, atmaiva ripuratmanah. Where is this? Bhagavad Gita chapter 6. Atma eva hi atmanah bandhuhu. Mind alone is a person's best friend. Atmaiva ripuratmanah, and mind alone is one's enemy. Why? Why enemy? Because it is the mind which has created the bondage. Why friend? Because it is the same mind which will remove that bondage and which will create liberation for me. Now the question is, when is that mind friend? And when is that mind enemy? When is the mind creating bondage and when is the mind removing bondage? That is the topic taken up next. We will see in the coming classes. Sufficient for today. Okay. So, manomaya kosha is what? The 5 organs of perception and mind. This mind is the cause of samsara, and it is why it is alive, because the organs of perception keep feeding sense objects to the mind, and mind is kept ablaze by its vasanas and its desires. Then it was proven that this mind alone is ignorance. There is no ignorance other than the mind. And this mind is the cause of samsara. Why? Because when the mind is there in dream and waking, samsara is there. When mind is not there in the deep sleep, samsara is not there. Therefore, samsara is not actually there. Samsara is a projection of mind. So, the mind projects samsara and mind projects myself to be bound in that samsara bandha. And the same mind liberates me from bondage and gives me liberation. Okay? Just as the wind brings the clouds and takes away the clouds, it is the mind which creates bondage and gives liberation. Okay. So, what is the point? The point is mind your mind. Don't mind other things. That person is not doing their job. This person is like this. Country is going like this. Politicians and no. Mind your mind. Why? Because it is the mind that matters. Are you getting? All other things don't matter. Now Bhagavan Shankaracharya will prove how that mind creates bondage and how that same mind creates liberation. We will see in the next session. Let us conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.